Hey, welcome back to our exciting podcast, The Year of Magical Learning. Today we're on book 102. Believe it or not, 102. It's coming along. We passed the century mark 2 days ago. And so today we're trying to, continue on that path. And now I'll have Chris tells you about the book we want to reflect on today, and we can discuss about the reflection.
Yeah, excited. We have a special guest. One of our anti book club members, Dominic, is calling in from. I forget. Are you in Ireland or UK?
He
or,
moved.
Yeah.
He moved.
Yeah, you remember. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
move from Ireland to Denmark, and I'm now
Denmark.
based in Denmark. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So we met Dominic through our anti book club, which you all should check it out if you get a chance. It's on Meetup. So it's a place where you can go and talk about the books that you're reading and learning and all that good stuff. So similar to the Year of Magical Learning, but this one's a little bit more of a concentrated format around my journey. But that opens it up to everybody to share some stories. So thanks, Dominic, for joining, and we're happy to have you today. And can't wait to get your thoughts on this one. So the book for today is it's a book called the Bhagavad Gita, and it's introduced and translated by the author Eknath Easwaran. Probably butchered all of that, but are you guys familiar? Are you guys familiar with the Gita in general? Something you guys were familiar with?
No, I'm not. First time I've heard it.
Yeah, I am not familiar with it either. I figure.
Yeah. So the Bhagavad Gita actually stands for the Song of the Lord, and it's often referred to as the Gita. It's a 700 verse Hindu scripture that's part of the kind of their epic, I think, kind of like their Bible, basically. It's like a smaller portion of it, and the Gita is a narrative framework between, and it's a dialogue between this prince and his guide, the charioteer Krishna. And he's the supreme god, whatever. I'm not like Hindu. I don't really know a lot about Hinduism in general, but like this is from what I understand of the Gita, it's like their equivalent of like a really impactful story that would be in the Bible, basically, kind of thing. It's like their it's probably like their most important like spiritual work, like small verse, book. It's not a huge book, but it's really impactful. I mean, it's something that people have been reciting for millennia, so it's a really interesting book, actually. So anyway, any questions about the book just in general?
I think I got it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, sorry, go ahead, Dominic.
No, it just works. I was just cheating and I found it on Google, so I could see the title, the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes.
I also butchered the title.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my screen actually, so you can see it on here as well. But yeah, I believe it's pronounced the Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad. Okay.
Yeah. I'm probably butchering that as well, but that's okay. Anyway, so so on to the reflection. So my reflection title for this one is I'm done with setting goals. And I got to thank my hairstylist, actually. Her name's Marta. She's like my part-time therapist and book buddy these days. We end up having a lot of talks while she's cutting my hair every few weeks, and actually she was the one that recommended this book to me. She's super into like yoga and super into like a lot of these other kind of deeper spiritual things in general, and this was a book that they were reading for she's a yoga instructor, and this is a book that she was reading and she really enjoyed it. And she, we talk about these things these days, that's the compound effect in action, right? It's the weird, this is probably like the fourth book I think I read that Marta had recommended, in general, and it was an interesting source of it, and I appreciate her recommending this one. But yeah, that's the fun of this journey, right? So the truth is like this book, honestly, I was really glad that I read it. It was I mean, I could probably write like a 100-part reflection on the Gita in general. I mean, there was like, I understand after reading this why it's been so impactful and shared so many times throughout, history as this like incredibly important book from a spirituality's perspective and guiding people's lives. There was a lot to unpack in it. But for the sake of this whole entire journey and the Year of Magical Learning, I try to distill it down to one thing that I could take away from it, and one thing that I could live my life around, and I try to express my values a little bit more. And that particular thought that came to me as I was finishing this was to renounce and enjoy. Something they mentioned in the book was to renounce and enjoy, and what they meant by that was to renounce the outcomes of your effort and just enjoy the work. So, you know, it made me think a lot about like my previous life before Amelia. I mean, my entire life I've been obsessed with setting goals, completing tasks, like receiving rewards, winning competitions, you know, winning the debate, whatever it may be, like being right in general, quote unquote, whatever that means. And that's how I lived my life, I guess, before, you know, my daughter came along. And I would have wild swings, you know, in my life. Like, you know, I would feel like a lot of self-worth whenever I would, you know, get the outcome that I was seeking, and I would feel a lot of not self-worth, you know, whenever I didn't. I mean, I'm in sales, this is my professional career, you know, I mean, you're getting rejected and winning every single day at that point in time. You know, there's I play a lot of competitive sports, so, you know, a loss would in my tennis matches, I mean, I literally, I'm sure I've told you about this many times before. I mean, it would stick with me for days, weeks. Like, I mean, I would just be so mad, you know, like, you know, so frustrated, and you know, and that outcome really mattered to me. It was, I always considered to be like fuel to my fire to want to keep, you know, trying harder and to be better and whatever, yada yada yada. But you know, this whole journey has completely taken me in a completely different direction. So in my 30s, you know, I took it to a whole nother level of like my obsession of wanting to, like, you know, control, to win the outcome and to be better and to, you know, to live a better life or whatever that was. And, you know, I remember every year at the end of my between Christmas and New Year's, I would carve out those 5 days to really like evaluate myself on every spiritual, in every dimension of my life, whether it be like spirituality, whether it be work, you know, health, your friendships, whatever. I would like rate myself on a scale like 1 to 10 in these categories. And then I would, you know, write down like an action plan for the year of like, how am I going to, you know, where am I at today? And where do I want to be at this dimension? And then I would, you know, coordinate all this stuff out, write it all down at the end of the year, and, you know, and try to, you know, have this big, hairy, audacious goal for the rest of the year. Like that was my life before my daughter. And then, as we all know, through this whole entire journey, you know, an atomic bomb blew up in my life when my daughter was born and passed away, and it changed everything. You know, it reminded me, I think the biggest thing that it shook up my life around is everything kind of felt pointless. I didn't really care about the outcomes anymore, about what was going on. I didn't really care about being the best at anything, and nothing really mattered anymore. It all kind of felt pointless. And yeah, that was the start of this whole entire journey, right? Of exploring like what does really matter to my life, and how do I want to live, and how do I want to, you know, honor my daughter and the life that she showed me how to live, and the fight that she showed, and all that other stuff that we've talked about many times before. So that was kind of the kickstart of this whole entire journey. You know, I wanted to honor my daughter, and so I stopped setting goals. I mean, I picked up the values that she taught me, and I, you know, kept discovering more and more things that were important to me. Started exploring, reading, writing, learning, you know, all the things that we talk about here on this whole entire Year of Magical Learning journey. And I dedicated myself solely to trying to live those values in every single day. And slowly but surely over time, everything started to change in my life. I mean, I didn't really care anymore about the outcomes anymore. I play every match that I play in tennis these days. I don't really care if I lose or win or whatever. I'm like, you know, yeah, you know, I try to detach from the outcomes as much as I possibly can and just focus on living my values and doing the work and doing the stuff that I get to experience with my daughter every single day. And it's changed everything. So, you know, every single day, I don't really care if I, you know, don't write the best article or write the best reflection or write the best whatever, or if True and I have the best podcast. This is all about, you know, doing the things that we say that we love to do the most, and to try to do them consistently and regularly, and to make every single day the best day you possibly can. And the weird twist of fate irony is like the achievements, quote unquote, started kind of racking up when those things happen. I mean, you look at where we're at right now on book, you know, podcast 102, you know, I'm on book 240 or whatever it is right now, or something along those lines. And I've already written that. I've written another book, you know, we've won tennis tournaments, all these other things. Like, you know, it didn't really, none of those things really matter. But like the irony is when you stop focusing on the and renounce the outcomes and just enjoy the work, like that's what life's all about. That's what happiness is all about, in my personal opinion. So that's the reflection for the day in general. And the question that we can leave for everybody, or we can start off this conversation, the discussion with, is how does your work reflect your values? And you know, what are your kind of just general thoughts on outcomes, and how do they impact your life, all that good stuff. So I'll kind of pause there. Love to get your thoughts.
So you want to go first, Dominic?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've actually read, oh no, sorry, I think it was a online lecture by an academic. I can't embed names and titles, so I don't know what the name of the person was, a German academic. And long story short, I watched that I think 2 years ago or something, but it stayed with me because he built a whole philosophical or concept or life advice around exactly that. That he sort of says that don't do the whole goal setting thing all the time. And he talked, I have to translate from German, but it's better to have something you're concerned, a matter that you're concerned with.
Exactly.
And then that, because he says this is a never ending thing. So for example, if I have a goal to have a house, I'll achieve the goal and then what? I fall into a pit, right?
Yep.
Or I need something crazier, like, okay, I need the Mount Everest. If I have a matter that I'm concerned with, for example, to bring for if I'm not married, but for my wife and family, to I'm concerned with creating a healthy day-to-day living environment for them. You know, from that you can source forever because they're so right. And I maybe didn't give the exact best example, but he just exactly did what you said. He discerned between the whole goal-setting machinery and just having something you're concerned with. Or I may say Greta Thunberg, she's concerned with climate change.
Right.
But she probably doesn't have then she sets goals from that. Okay, to be fair, she wants that climate have certain metrics have to be achieved by a certain time. But you know, even when that's achieved, she wants a betterment of the world and the industries and how they work and pollution. That is a matter you're concerned with. It's not this kind of goal in the traditional sense. And
yeah, it's don't go to the moon, go explore the universe, you know, like, or something like that, right? Like, you know, like going to the moon is a literal moonshot, you know, you either make it or you don't, you know, if you but if your goal is to, if your mission is just to explore the universe and understand, you know, what's out there, and you know, and learn and grow, like that's a totally different, you know, driver every single day. And yeah, you might make it to the moon, but then what's next? You know, what's after that? Like, I mean, then it's, you know, then it's you know,
you don't even know anymore. Why did you want to go to the moon in the first place? Because you haven't inquired your own values that this goal was based upon. You just start the machinery of goals, and then you forget the values. All you need is suddenly is just goals.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, it's I'd say this regularly. I really don't set goals anymore. And I know that sounds like, you know, kind of bizarre to a lot of people, and even to myself, it sounds bizarre. But like, the only goal that I have is to try to, you know, live as many values as I can in the actions I perform every single day. That is it. So, you know, as long as I know what's important to me, that my daughter taught me, and I try to do that, I know that I'm going to have a happy day. And then the compound effect that comes with that, though, is the cool thing. Because, like, you know, like Dominic, like, you're on a call with two guys that are, one of them's in Indianapolis, you're in Denmark, Drew's in Houston. We're talking about the Bhagavad Gita, and you know, we've met multiple times on an anti-library you know, meetup group. Like, I mean, like, talk about like random, right? Like, I mean, like, none of these things, how could I have ever predicted that would have ever been a goal? I want to go start a, you know, a meetup group for, like, these were just things that just came out of, you know, natural byproducts of you know, the stuff that Drew and I do every single day, and the things that are important to us. And that's what matters. Like, because this is, you know, as much, we don't really know each other, but we're having a meaningful conversation, you know, and that's what's cool, you know. Like, we're talking about things that matter to myself and Drew, and hopefully yourself as well, and creating more of a meaningful relationship. Yeah, Drew, I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so before I give you my thoughts, you know, I want to make sure that I'm on the same page. And so for me, the way I see it, society today wants people to set goals. People say, well, you don't set goal, you can't grow, you can't become better, right? And what we're saying here is that it goes against that grain, against that expectations. It's very counterintuitive.
Exactly.
Right. And for me, it's like, because like everywhere I've gone, everywhere I've read, like, oh, you have to set goal. I mean, you want to be really good, get set goal. And I think I would believe it, if I hadn't been a club member for the last 2 years, because I mean, it sounds reasonable, it sounds logical, because you
Right.
gotta get goals to get to the next step. So in order for you to grow, but for me, it's like now that I've been in company, um, when I'm thinking about setting goal to achieve something, to me, it's really a sad reality, because the only thing that motivates you to move the needle is to gain the sense of quote unquote achievement.
Right.
So whatever you did wasn't what you wanted to do. And it reminds me of the example you gave the other day about having a bunch of animals in one classroom and asking the cheetah to be setting goal to become a better sloth. Right? You think about it, because for a cheetah, say, okay, I have become so slow now that I get an achievement. You are more sloth-like than before, and that achievement is the only thing that motivates the cheetah to do that thing. But imagine if he will go out there and who was speeding, right? He said, well, that's what I do, that's what I have fun. The achievement of having like achieving a fast record or whatnot, for him, it doesn't matter. It becomes like, I don't really care. I don't really care whether I'm fast or not. I just enjoy being fast,
Yeah.
right? Because
What I
he
do.
already gets more of enjoying the things that he's made to do. And so to me, it makes sense. It makes sense in the context of why don't you set goal? Because once you set goal, right, that that particular goal is essentially your molecule of more, your dopamine, right? And
Right.
you're always trying to get the next one, like Dominic was referring to. If you have a house, right, you want to achieve the house, then you want more, right? Because of that dopamine that's being triggered, and you want more than just a house. And then when you have a bigger house and you want a bigger house, and that pit never ends. And that's a sad reality, because for me, it's like, if you say, well, if a person don't set goal, they will never ever grow and they will become stagnant. And I disagree with that. And the reason why I disagree with that is because, for example, if you find the things that you really love to do, you're gonna do them, and the reward of doing them is just enough. You don't need any external achievements or external approval from anyone. And because of that, you're going to spend more time doing that than anyone would. It's just because that's what you naturally do. It's like a cheetah is going to naturally going to run fast. A falcon is naturally going to fly fast. I mean, right? You don't have to ask him, hey, you fly faster than a little cardinal. I'll give you an achievement. Oh, I want an achievement. I'm going to fly fast.
Right.
No, that's not what I meant. So that's the thing is, when we use the goal as the carrot, as a reward, then more likely than not, you are living a value that is not yours, and it is not what you enjoy doing. But if you
Yeah.
take away the goal, right, you're gonna find the things that you do, which is made for you. You are made to do that, whether you're a writer or painter, a reader, or just like you're talking about Kevin, right? Kevin, he goes to different places and explore, but he loves to share that knowledge. He enjoys that, right?
Right.
And so for that, to him, it's meaningful work. It's things that he loves to do. So for him to say, go ahead, I'm gonna help like 100 people. I want to help 200 people, right? So if he has the goal as a priority of his metric, then chances are the things that he's doing is not what he really wants to do. It wouldn't align with his value, because you had something already in place to keep you going, right? But that's going against your natural instinct. For example, like we're talking about the cheetah, right? The cheetah don't want to be like a sloth. And so if you give him achievement, he'll do it because of the achievement's sake. But if you take away the carrots, that is the achievement of some sort of goal setting, then he gonna have to revert back to say, well, what do I do? He gonna have to think and reflect on himself to say, okay, who I am, what do I do, what should I do? And that will actually lead him back to the things that he can do and will do better than anyone else. And to
Yeah.
me, in that context, I truly agree. This is to me it's like the secret to living the life that you want, because you can enjoy it, but also you're gonna master the things that you like. I don't care what you do, right? You can be if you love to play tennis, I guarantee you become a master in tennis just because you are immersed in that yeah, in that field, in that arena, whatever you want to call it. You will become a master just because you spend so much time in it. Like, so they're talking about a cheetah, right? He doesn't have to go and train to be a cheetah. He just become a cheetah just because that's what he do. You want to race him, he's gonna beat you, right? No one's gonna beat cheetah in running.
Right.
The only thing maybe I find that, yeah, I think you made that point very, very well. I think the only thing I'm thinking is that in an ideal world, we would just pursue what our internal beliefs and values make us do, right? So I don't know. I just kind of love the sciences. I will never be a great mathematician, but I, for example, love this kind of complex mathematics, that you get in string theory. I'll never comprehend it in all its detail, but I love just watching number feel on YouTube, Vsauce, or reading articles, or I also buy like academic textbooks and dig my nose into them a little bit, because I just want to at least scratch the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing
However,
is that will compound effect to the point where eventually, like let's say 5 years from now, and you continue to follow your passion, enjoy it, you're gonna become like, even now, like between the three of us, you the expert in that field. You have become you're closer to being a master than any of us. You see what I'm saying? And then if you continue to follow that hobby or that thing that you enjoy, whatever that subject is, eventually you will accumulate, compounding the accumulation of knowledge and experience to the point where you say, well, I know this, I know that in this arena. I know about the string theory, I know about the mathematics. And so you're gonna accumulate, because by your I guess your curiosity and your enjoy of the things that you find out in that particular field, eventually it's going to add up, and you become a master of it just because you just are being exposed to it for a long time. Because for me and for Chris, like our passion and the way our values are different, and we become the master in those fields that we basically immerse ourselves in. And so the thing is, a lot of time what people do is they don't understand and never reflect on themselves to say what it is that I really enjoy do, and I carve out some time during my day to do the things that I enjoy versus doing the things that people ask me to do, whether that's work or whether that's because they expect me to do certain things and I continue to do. I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I don't enjoy it. And so it doesn't help you with the mastery of the things that you really have a I guess affinity for. And so I
yeah,
think to me, because the thing is, there is a lot of noise out there in terms of what motivates a person to move forward and to grow. And if you use the wrong, I guess the wrong catalyst, then the growth is going to be limited. But if you have the right catalyst, like you find something that you really enjoy, right? You're gonna spend. It's gonna be hard for you for you to even, like stop playing with that. Whatever it is. Let's say you have a PlayStation you really love, right? You can play that thing until you're gonna not go out to dinners, and you're going to. I mean, a lot of times you play computer games or whatever, you sit there like for 3 days straight, and you eat whatever fast food that you kind of shove down your throat until you can go back to the game. So because that's thing is, you're so passionate and so addicted to the things that it aligns with you, that are going to continue, and that particular catalyst is going to catapult you in terms of whatever that you do, and become more, I guess, more expert in that field than anyone else who is trying to do things that they don't want. It's like asking me to be a writer, right? If I don't enjoy being to write, then asking me to be a writer, I can never ever beat a person who can do that leisurely but do it consistently every day, that it compounding to the point where there's no way I can compete, and it's gonna be like night and day difference.
I feel, Chris, was that something you drew specifically from this passage in the book where it says about renounce the outcomes?
Yeah, exactly. It's don't be tied to like to. I find it interesting when you said like I'll probably never be really good at, mathematics and string theory and physics, and that I actually think it's probably the opposite of that. Most of the people that have had the biggest domain exponential growth came from probably outside of that entire world. Like if you're, I feel like when you, I may be assuming here at this point in time, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when you say that, it's probably more the traditional like mathematic professor and somebody that's like an academic that studies this whole entire thing their entire life. But like I feel like it's the people just like yourself, the tinkerers out there in the world that just have a natural love of something, and you really have a passion for it, and like slowly but surely, like Drew was saying, it'll add up over time as you grow that knowledge because you care. Like, I mean, and you're not worried about trying to become like some published physicists, whatever out there, like, but you may end up having like the biggest gain of the 22nd century or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I actually, it's true what you guys are saying, because I actually found an online platform where you can find teachers that give tutors, right? So I have one teacher currently for music theory. We already had 2 lessons. And the past year, I did an online course in music theory just to really learn my own time. And I thought, first, I need to pre-digest certain things just completely my own way, even before I get a teacher, because I'm the kind of person, I have to look at the map and understand what the colors are, how big the map is before I actually look at the map. I'm this kind of brain. So, and the same I did now, actually just a few days ago, I found a academic who gives tuitions revolving around computation and is a mathematics expert in mathematics, and I want to talk to him about generative art.
Because you're just curious. Like, I mean, this
I'm just so curious. I can't stop myself. I'm happy to take regular lesson, and they're not cheap, but I'm gonna have all these lessons now indefinitely. I don't know when I will stop. Maybe in 5 years, maybe never.
Well,
I just love it.
Eventually you start exploring on your own, because you're going to find that other people can't teach you what your mind's naturally gravitating toward if you continue to stay curious, right? So like your value is curiosity. So like keep exploring things, and that's when you're, who the hell knows where that leads you when you're 80 years old or something like that. Like, but I have a feeling it'll be something really cool, and you'll have some knowledge that nobody else will have at that point in time. It's like a delicate fine line for me with this whole like renounce your goal, don't set goals kind of thing, because at the end of the day, like this is a project where we set 365 books and 365 reflections to write a book, right? Like that may seem like it was the goal, but that was never the intention when we started this thing out. It was to live your values every single day. One of our values for Club is reflect. One of our values for is balance. One of our values is these things that Drew and I do every single day. This challenge yourself every single month. Like this was a challenge, a monthly challenge. We'd been reading a lot of books, and we were like, I feel like this knowledge is going to waste, and we want to help other people, and give more than we take. It's one of our values, right? And this all just naturally aligned, where we spent 30 days doing this, and I was like, True, I'm having a blast writing these. I was like, this is definitely my next book, and like, fast forward, I'd been writing now for like 5 months, and I was like, I'm really accumulating a shitload of these, and I was like, I really want to talk to you about them. He's like, well, let's do it. So we ended up talking one night about this stuff, and now here we are, where we're 102 episodes in, and have doing this stuff. It was never a goal though, right? Like we never said we're gonna have a podcast every single night and talk about this stuff, and I'm gonna write 365 of these, and like this is the moonshot. We're gonna make a this is it's gonna change the world. It's like, no, we're just having fun doing what we like to do, and this is what naturally came as a byproduct of it.
Right.
I do. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Because the thing is, so the thing is, they are goal, but that goal is a side product. It's not the North Star. That's not what makes us do this thing, right? We're not gonna say, well, I'm gonna make a book, and I have to make a book, and that's why we're doing this thing. That's not the reason why we do the podcast. the reason why we do the podcast because they like it. And to say, well, if we do the podcast and maybe later on we can do a book for the goal of having a book, it's like, well, it's a side product that we could see, but we're not using that as a compass for us to learn. Hey, we need to do it today. For like if Chris and I had something that is urgent, then we skip. It's not like, oh, we have to make this, I have to make that, right? It's not the driven factor in what we do. The driven factor in what we do is because we love to talk about this thing. We love to learn about the lessons from a book, and we love to kind of like see from each other's point of view what Chris knows and what I know, right? So I want to know what he thinks, because I want to expand my understanding of the lessons, and I want to utilize them for the enjoyment of my being. That's the reason why we do it. So that's what makes us do the thing. The goal, you could say, well, it could come into play, but it has no influence in terms of whether we continue to do or we don't.
Right.
So it's similar for you, Dominic. If you say, well, I'm curious and I'm interested in mathematics, right? You didn't have a goal. You said, hey, yeah, I just want to know, right? You didn't have a goal. Even if you say, well, 5 years from now, I want to be better have understand much better. That's a goal, but that's like a secondary, tertiary goal, like quote unquote thing that came into mind. But it would not, even if the goal to say, well, 5 years from now, you won't even be close enough. And you say, well, that's fine, right? So the goal didn't define your actions.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like I have the goal that in 5 years I can, I don't know, from the spot explain string theory and all its you know what I mean?
Right.
It would be wonderful if I could, because
Yes.
it's just I'm so interested in it. But I discovered over time that there's certain mathematical concept where I go, damn, I could never ever calculate that. And in the past, this stopped me. But there was then the second voice that said, okay, I can sit down and do the math on the paper top down, but I still find this super interesting.
Right.
And this leap only happened fairly recently, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I've probably switched off a goal, because this comes from school. You can't only do math. You can do only math if you can sit down and shut up and calculate. That's a famous statement, I think, Richard Feynman. But no, then I thought, no, I can talk about I don't know, quaternions. At least to the extent, as long I push so far until I say, okay, I enjoy it and I can understand it.
Right.
And then I stop, and then I look at the other, and at the next thing. This is such a liberty to have. But the only one constraint I would put on this concept is that sometimes in life you have very practical things. I need to furnish my apartment, and this has to happen by a certain time.
And that's the kind of like the cost of belong to a society, right? Because society, we already been conditioned to act and behave a certain way. So like for me, I 100% agree, and I can relate to what you're saying. Just because for me, it's like, hey, I want to be free of this, but I have a family. I can't just say, well, I live for myself only. I gotta be responsible for my family, my kids as well. So if they're asking my kids to go to school, right, I have to send them to school, even though I don't think the school is teaching the kids what I want them to teach. But I still have to go with society so that you have the least, I guess, the least resistance, the least obstacles.
You don't have to. It is easier to do that for sure. But
but the thing is, you have to think about the well, it's not easier. So like I say, let's say I take my kids out of school, right? I mean, my neighbor's gonna be, what the hell are you doing? My mom's gonna say, what the hell are you doing, right? And they're gonna have interventions. I went crazy. They probably send me to a psychic ward. So that's the obstacle.
Hey, we've talked about this. So when many times, right? When people start to question what you're doing, that's probably you're probably on the right path at that point in time. Yes. I mean, you remember the story of the dude that started WeWork and the girl that started Dry Bar. They lived in that Oregon commune with like 4 mothers, and like, how does $2 billion companies come out of 5 kids that lived in a hippie commune, like happened. Like it's because they were living a countercultural, existence, and their education was probably more free flowing, and it was probably more like, ad hoc, and they were just exploring what they want to do, and all this other stuff, right? So to your point though, like I would say the way that you would get out of that with your children is if one of your values and one of your family shared values would have to be something along like
So
curiosity and
you're gonna have to
questioning,
slowly
like you'd have to get
uncondition.
alignment around it, right?
You have to slowly uncondition yourself, because like we know about, like, hey, you want to maximize your time. Your time is most important, right? And you want to do the things that you want to do, and you leave the things that you don't want to do to other people who likes to do those. But at the same time, we have been conditioned that I've inherited these behavior, these habits, because I was I guess growing up, I was expected to do those things, and it kind of seep into my habits. And so I'm still doing these things just because a natural tendency to follow the thing that you know how to do before, and you follow them until you consciously actually say, well, that's not how I understand things now. So I'm starting to kind of like reverse the process of the damages.
Unlearning,
You have to start unlearning the things that you learned that it's not the correct way.
Right. Or just
because you think about setting goals, right? Setting goal is something that we all have to set goal, because we are taught that from early age on into college and beyond. Like even
you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get anywhere if you don't show those some goal and some Mount Everest, some big hairy audacious goal.
So you're working for Salesforce, right?
Right.
Well, they expect you to have quotas and certain deadlines and all that, right?
I have to have a goal. They have
exactly.
goals.
It all
it's rolls
not
up,
like it's not like you say, hey, I'm not gonna do that anymore, because you live inside of society. You can't just jump off of society right? Like you can't just do it cold turkey. It has to do slowly. You get to the point where you can do things that start making money, and then you can say, well, I don't think working at this company, it aligns with my value, but I don't.
I agree.
I'm not like ripping the band-aid off and saying,
right.
if I follow my my values today, then I can't support my my rent, my living style, or whatever, food or whatever.
It's not easy.
So for you and for me, we still have to abide by some of those things, just because that's what we inherited. And inheritance, sometimes you're gonna have to slowly and surely, but kind of like detach yourself from the things that you don't want, or that it doesn't align with you as a person.
Can I question you? Sorry to sort of point the arrow somewhere else, because I'm looking at the clock, and I wanted to question Chris about his reflection piece for today, unless that's not how you wanted to run. Our podcast.
Anything goes.
I didn't mean to I didn't mean to cut you off. So did you finish your point?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes, I did.
Okay. No, because I what I find very interesting is that you've in your reflection, you very sharply zoned in on one particular takeaway, and you wrote it down, right? Specifically on the one with the goals.
Yep.
And maybe that made it also makes up. I don't know. Is this a common practice that you had, that you, even if you read and they had a wealth of information, you decided to zone in on one specific point, write that down, and have that done? There's a certain efficiency I sense there. Well, at least with this one, because I know for myself, I would read a book like that, write a reflection on it. I have to do very hard work on myself not to go in all the different ways and back and forth and all the thing. So there's a certain beauty in you said, this is it. That's the point I want to make. This is the reflection. And many projects collapse because they try to do so many things all at the same time, want to achieve a billion things. And the short and sweet formula sometimes just nails it, doesn't it?
Simple is always the best, right?
Yes.
And not only that, it's for me, the reason why I'm doing this is it's because of values, right? So for me, this is my I like to call it another reflection I wrote in the future. This is like my memory palace, right? So this is how I retain and can apply these things to my life. Because you're right, I've in the past 2.5 years, I've read 200 and some books, or whatever. Like that's a lot of knowledge to put into your head to it can get all jumbled up, and I don't remember the sources. This is a way for me to like take that nugget, like paste it on the board, go, this is what's important to me, and I can go practice it in my life, and then we can go talk about it in this discussion, then we can go teach it, we can go experience it and go apply it. That's what this whole journey is about. It's the year of magical learning, right? It's a process of like Drew said, of unlearning and then growing, and then continuing to live your values every single day, and to walk the walk and talk the talk and live the life that you want to live, and say the things you want to do. And so it is intentional of why I'm doing this. Yes, there's 30 different reflections I could write about the
100.
Gita,
You said 100.
yeah, 100. I said it in the
Right.
beginning. Yeah, there's 100 things that I could write down about this book if I really wanted to. And you could, it's like the Bible, right? You could study the Bible for your entire life, but that doesn't mean the Bible. Like, that doesn't mean you understand how to live the principles of the Bible, and or something along those lines. So like, it's always best just to start with one thing. If I want to go revisit the Gita, I'll go revisit it, and maybe at that point in time, this idea of not setting goals and will be a part of me, and then I can go focus on something else, right? Like,
yeah. So actions are verbs. Love
Right.
does, right?
Right. Yeah. We just talked about that the other day.
It only become your value only if you apply it. So we can't apply many things at once. We have to take one action, one verb, and apply it. So for this particular one, like the lessons that we learned, say, hey, don't try to set values. Let your passion guide you rather than the goals, because the goals, most of the time I see that it's going to lead you astray from the things that you want to do and the things that you enjoy doing.
And even if you hit it, it's even worse, because then, like, think about all these Olympians that win the gold medal, right? And then they fall apart mentally because they're like, what do I do now? Like, I don't know what to do. Like, that was my goal. That was my only goal, was to win 8 gold medals and freestyle or whatever the hell it was. And then you end up like Michael Phelps is wildly talked about, like being, how lost he is and how mentally unhealthy he feels and how depressed he is all the time, because like he spent his entire life working toward this goal, and then once the goal was over, like,
well, you reached the end,
he was left with nothing, but like, after this project is over, like, I'm still going to be left with learning every single day. I'm still going to be left with reflection. I'm still going to be left with challenging myself, and it'll just be another project. Like, it's fine. Like, or I'll do this for the rest of I could do this for the rest of my life. Every new book that I finish, write a reflection and share it with the world if I wanted to, or not, like, to share it with myself. Like, but these are things that I know that I can do, that are sustainable, because I care about them, and it's not because of the project, it's because it's important for me.
Yeah.
That's it. Awesome. Any final thoughts, guys? I mean, I know we're getting close to time here, so love to, any quick final thoughts before we wrap up today?
Not really. Like I said, let your passion guide you rather than the goals. I mean, to me, your reflection, I really agree. And the way for me to remember this particular reflection and lesson is, follow your passion and try to transition. We're not asking you to quit cold turkey and do whatever you want to do. That's not what we're advocating. We're advocating, the balance of it. Like, you want to have the I guess the things you need to do to pay rent, to be a peaceful citizen of the world. And then the other thing is to carve your own path by following the things that you enjoy doing.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thanks for sharing today. First time I could take part in this format that you have here. And I love bounce around ideas, hear about life experiences. So I find that very enriching. And I generally also agree, the good old follow your passion kind of thing. If you apply it in a considerate, reasonable way, obviously, then it just really works. You have to just be ready for specific exceptions in life, where, okay, sometimes you have to put the passion aside. There are certain duties, but as long as you can find back to it and you don't get lost in these duties, I think it totally works. And thanks for sharing. Good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. That was fun. So we
Yeah.
do this every night, by the way, at 6:00.
Oh.
If you except for our anti-library or why are you yelling nights, True and I do this right before that. So so if you ever want, it's the same link. So hop on anytime. We're happy to have you back. Yeah, we'll be doing book 103 tomorrow.
Well, we're gonna do the anti-book club tomorrow.
Well, you and I will do the 103 before the.
It may not be, just because, you know, in the beginning,
Oh,
I
that's
guess
true. Yeah.
the plan, they kind of like, hey, you know, we want to do this 15 minutes and we can just
Yeah.
hop
No,
on to the other stuff, but
it's
it
going too far.
because, you know, it has grown organically into a discussion that takes 45 minutes to an hour each.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can, to me,
Don't squeeze it in.
when I'm doing something 15 minutes for this podcast, it feels like, you know, it's missing something.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right.
It's not like I didn't get my feel. And so,
you guys, you are very, very brave to get I mean, I could have been the worst stranger, completely, like, you know, but
Well,
I hope I'm not,
well,
actually.
we don't have a goal, so it's like whatever goes.
Yeah.
You bring up any questions and say, well, we have our own opinions and we say them, but at the same time, you know, it's one of those things where we love to learn from other people, because when we just like like two people looking at each other, right? I can only see in front of me, and the other person can see in front of them, but I can augment his blind spot because I can see what's behind him and he can see what's behind me. So having the different perspective help us have a better view of the things around us. And because of those, we're able to make a better decisions regarding whatever it is we want to make. And that's, to me, is the essence of why we do some of these things. And because it's the things that we value, there's not goal. They say, hey, we have to have a perfect podcast. We don't have anything that's surprising. Well, because there's no goal, it doesn't apply. It doesn't affect us in any way.
Right. It's and then one of our values is don't do it alone, right? So, you know, the more the merrier, right? We're trying to the whole mission of what True and I are trying to do is meaningful work and meaningful relationships for everybody, you know, and creating a culture around that, and helping people to find that meaningful work and to give them a supported ecosystem to also develop meaningful relationships out of it as well. So you can't have that unless you learn and you grow and you're willing to listen to other people. So, like, you know, yeah, this is important. So yeah, by any means,
Nice.
Everybody's welcome, right? So thanks for joining. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Okay.
So for the audience, you know, we do this every day, mostly, you know, Monday to Thursday. And so if anyone wants to become, you know, a guest, you know, just comment below and we'll get you on here.
Yeah. I have a very quick curious question. You guys know each other in real life, or you know each other here through Meetup? And I hope that's not too much of a nosy story. I'm just curious because you have been working together apparently for a long time. And it would be even more beautiful if that randomness that you mentioned was brought you to that point. But obviously,
no, that's exactly what happened. It was
all right.
Well, I basically knew Chris forever, but I'd never seen him in person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Well, because we live in different states, so but no, that randomness is what happened. So like this whole entire journey, when this whole thing started with my daughter, like it inspired me to want to live this life a different way. True was on his own mission and his own life, wanted to live a different lifestyle as well. So we met up trying to go work around a particular project, and slowly but surely we've developed a culture out of it and an ecosystem. We've been working on this stuff for the past 2+ years now together, like, and we're slowly but surely, you know, like we said, living what we preach, you know, like practicing what we preach. We don't have a goal. We don't know where we're going with this, but we know how we're going to get there, and that's all that really matters. So, and that's
amazing.
That's the fun of this whole journey. Yeah,
good stuff. It's just, you know, modern technology. You know, people we never physically meeting and just having, but that's great. No, okay, I won't stretch time, but I just had to ask a nosy question.
No worries at all. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for joining.
All righty, see ya.